All right, welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to continue our discussion from yesterday on equation solving. And we're going to focus today on multiplication and division equations. Okay, same idea. We're just dealing with multiplication, division instead of addition and subtraction. So, here's the situation which this might arise. Let's say a package of 12 DVDs costs $48. And you want to know the price of an individual DVD. Well, this is something that we could write and solve an equation for. Think about how we do that. Well, the price of an individual DVD, we don't know. So let's say that's D. We'll use D for DVD. That's the price of a DVD. Well, if I'm buying 12 of them, okay, I'm going to multiply that price by 12 to get the total that I pay, which is 48. So I get this equation 12 times D equals 48. Now, if I want to know how much D is, thinking about what we did yesterday, I can draw my train tracks, and I'm trying to get D by itself. Okay, now I don't have a symbol between the 12 and the D, but remember what that means. If you have a number and a letter after it, 12D just means 12 times D. So if there is no symbol there, it's just the number and the letter, that means they're being multiplied. So, yes, we think about how to undo multiplication. Well, yesterday we talked about how addition and subtraction are opposites of each other. If you add an amount and then subtract the same amount, you end up back where you started. Okay? If you subtract a certain amount and then add it, you're back to where you started also. So if we think about multiplication, well, what's the opposite of multiplication? Well, it's division. We think about taking a number, so think of any number you want. You might want to make a smaller number so it's easier. Think about some small number. All right, now multiply that number by 2. Okay, once you have your answer, divide your number by 2. Okay, you should end up right back where you started. Right, you started with 10, multiplied by 2 gave you 20, divided by 2 got you back to 10. All right, so multiplying by 2 and dividing by 2 would cancel each other out. They are also inverse operations. Okay, so we can add to our list in addition to addition subtraction. Now we have multiplication and division as opposites. So if I want to do the fact that D is being multiplied by 12, the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to divide by 12. Okay. Well, hopefully you remember also, as soon as I do something on this side, I want to keep it balanced, I got to do the same thing over on this side. So I'm dividing both sides by 12 to keep it nice and even. And again, if you think of that balance, is it a scale in balance? If you divide by a certain amount here, then you divide by a certain amount here. Let's say you cut the weight in half. If you cut the weight in half on this side and on this side, it's still going to be balanced. Okay, if you cut it to a third, it's still going to be balanced as long as you do that on both sides. Okay, so we can also multiply or divide whatever we want as long as we do it to both sides. So here I'm dividing by 12. Okay, that's going to undo multiplying by 12. That gets D by itself, which is what I want. Okay, on this side, I got 48 divided by 12, which is $4. Okay, so that tells me the price of an individual DVD is $4. If we check, hopefully that makes sense. 4 times 12 DVDs is a total cost of $48. Okay. So the question we're trying to answer today is how do we solve one-step equations with multiplication and division? Again, we got another example here. This one is multiplication. This one is saying 4 times x equals 12. Okay, remember what that means is 4 times some missing number. Variables always stand for a number. We just don't necessarily know what they are, so I can't write the number, but I know there's some number there, and I'm just representing it with an x. Okay, and then my goal is going to be to find, well, what would that number be? What number would x stand for in this case? So 4 times something equals 12. We want to figure that out. The way we solve that algebraically, again, is we write the equation, underline it. I call this train tracks. It looks kind of like a train track. We can think of it as a scale. The idea being we're separating the two sides of the equation to remind myself that whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side, so that it starts out equal and it stays equal. Right? This right now has the same value as this, so I want to keep that the same. By any changes I make, I got to make the same change to both sides. Okay, so here I have 4 times x. I want to just have x, so I'm going to divide by 4. Okay, again, like with addition, we don't have to worry about the order here. X times 4, 4 times x doesn't matter because multiplication is also commutative. Right? X is being multiplied by 4 and then divided by 4. Just going to cancel out and just leave x. Okay, on this side, I'm dividing by 4 here also. Same thing on both sides. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I get x equals 3. Okay. If I check that, again, I can just take this value that I got for x and plug it in. So I'm replacing this x with a 3 as my mystery number. Again, checking it, 4 times 3 does in fact equal 12. So that is a true statement. Okay. All right. All right, so let's try this one on your own. Okay, when you've solved it, check with somebody nearby and see if they got the same thing. 2x equals 35. What is x? All right, hopefully what you decided is you have to undo multiplying by 2 by dividing by 2. So you divide both sides by 2. 2 doesn't go into 35 evenly, but that's okay. We can deal with decimals and fractions. We have already dealt with those, so this will keep coming up. 35 divided by 2 is 17.5 or 17 and a half. Okay, check your work. Does it make sense? Okay, well, to check it, remember we take what we got for x and replace it. So 2 times 17.5, if you multiply those out, you should get 35. Okay, you can do that on your calculators. Otherwise, I'll do it right here. 17.5 times 2. Remember, now I'm multiplying decimals. Don't need to line up decimal points. 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1. It's a 0, looked like a 6. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Okay, for the decimal point, I have 1 digit after a decimal point right here. So I need 1 digit out of the decimal point in my answer. I get 35.0, which is the same thing as 35. Okay, so it does work. All right, let's try a couple more. So 5y equals 90. Start by drawing my train tracks. Y is what I'm trying to get by itself. It's being multiplied by 5. So I divide by 5. Okay. If I do it on this side, I do the same thing on this side. Okay. Times 5 and divided by 5 cancel, getting y by itself. 90 divided by 5 is 18. So 18 is my answer. Okay, plugging that in, 5 times 18 does give you 90. Okay, let's try this one. Got a decimal here, that's fine. Doesn't change anything. We have 6 times t. I'm trying to get t by itself. So I get rid of multiplying by 6 by dividing by 6. That gives me t equals 13.8 divided by 6 would be 2.3. Okay. All right, last one here. Got 0.4x equals 17.2. Again, I do train tracks. both numbers are decimals in this case, doesn't change anything. It's 0.4 times x. I undo multiplication with division, so I divide by the 0.4. Okay, in case you were wondering how I know which thing to divide by, remember what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the variable by itself. Okay. I want to get x all by itself, so I know what x equals. So x is being multiplied by this number here, 0.4. So this is what I have to divide by because this is what I'm trying to get rid of. Okay, so I'll get rid of that, leaving x. 17.2 divided by 0.4. Okay, let's review our decimal division skills here. Okay, remember it's okay to have a decimal here, but we don't want a decimal here. Okay, so if I have a decimal here, I'm going to move the decimal point over to make this a whole number. If I do that, and this number, I have to move the decimal one here as well. Okay, so this becomes 172 divided by 4. Okay, 4 does not go into 1. It goes into 17 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. Subtract and get 1. Bring down the 2. 4 goes into 12 3 times exactly with nothing left over. So I get the number 43. Okay, so x equals 43. We check that. 43 times 0.4 would give you this number. Okay. All right, let's look at a few that have division. Now, there's a couple of different ways to write division. Here is one way that you might see it. You might see it written like a fraction, g over 8. Remember, this fraction bar means division. So this is saying g divided by 8. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, draw our train tracks. This is a little bit sloppy. Let's do it over here. So we got g divided by 8 equals 3. We can draw our train tracks. Again, g is being divided by 8. I'm going to undo that by multiplying by 8. Multiplication is the opposite of division. Okay. Whatever I do to this side, I got to do this side. So divided by 8 and times 8 are going to cancel out, getting the g by itself. 3 times 8 is 24. So 24 is my answer. Okay. It's the same kind of thing here. Here it was multiplying by 8 over 1, so you could think about that fraction multiplication idea, but not really necessary since these are whole numbers. Okay, if we check it, 24 divided by 8 is in fact 3. Okay, that should make sense. All right, let's try a couple more. So t divided by 2.2 equals 4. Again, I do my train tracks. T is being divided by 2.2, so I'm going to multiply by 2.2. That'll cancel that out and get t by itself. 4 times 2.2 is 8.8. And to check that out, I do 8.8 divided by, divided by 2.2. Just replacing the t with the number I found it's equal to. If I do that division, I do get 4, which is what it says I should get. Okay, how about y divided by 20 equals 4? An answer that might pop in your heads right away is 5. 5 is not the right answer. Okay, but it's a pretty common mistake I'll see here. You'll think 20 divided by 4. But let's look at what's actually happening here. So y is what I'm trying to get by itself. Y is being divided by 20. I undo that by multiplying by 20. Okay, so that cancels that out. Gets y by itself. 4 times 20 is 80. 80 is my answer. I check it, replace that y with an 80. 80 divided by 20 is the same as 8 divided by 2, which is 4. All right. So these last two, I'm going to let you see if you can do these on your own. So let's pause the video here. Come back when you have have these answered, and we'll see if our answers agree. All right, welcome back. Hopefully, these are the answers that you got. Okay, so on the first one, we're multiplying by 16, which gives us g equals 128. If you check it, 128 divided by 16 is 8. The second one, we're multiplying by 4.2, which gives me x equals 37.8. Again, if you divide that and check, you do get 9. It's not the easiest one to check. Remember, you can use your calculators for that if you'd like. Okay. All right, that's all I got for you today. Please make sure you're asking questions if you're running into ones you're not sure how to deal with. Thanks. Good luck.